Okay guys, today we're going to do a lesson on how to combine like terms. Before we start that lesson, I want to review with you a couple of things. The first thing we want to talk about and review is the parts of an expression. So this whole expression here, 5x plus y plus 8, is called an algebraic expression. It has three terms. 5x is a term, y, and 8. So it's a three-term algebraic expression. The 5 is what we call a coefficient. It's the number that's being multiplied to your variable. Your variables are x and y, and your constant is 8. When you have a letter by itself without a letter, it's just a number by itself without a letter. It's just called a constant. So that's a review of the parts of an equation. The other thing I want to review with you is integer operations, especially adding and subtracting, before we start combining like terms, because you'll need to remember these rules as you go to combine like terms. So remember, when you're adding two numbers whose signs are the same, like positive 2 plus positive 3, that gives you a positive 5. Just like a negative 2 plus a negative 3 gives you a negative 5. If your signs are the same, you add and keep. So both positive, positive answer. Both positive, you add and keep. So negative 2 plus negative 3 gives you a negative 5. If your signs are different, like a negative 5 plus 3, if your signs are different, you subtract. So 5 minus 3 gives you 2, and you use the sign of the larger absolute value. So 5 is larger, it is negative, so 2 is, your answer is negative. If you have a subtraction problem, for example, if you have negative 7 minus 2, remember, when you're subtracting integers, you add the opposite, and then you just follow the rules that we just talked about. Both of these are negative, you add and keep the sign. If you have 8 minus a negative 3, again, you're adding the opposite, and now you just have a positive 8 plus a positive 3, which gives you a positive 11. Okay. Now that we've reviewed those two things, we can talk about combining like terms. In order to combine like terms, you have to know the difference between unlike terms and like terms. So the example I want to use for unlike terms is x plus y. If you are adding x plus y, that's like adding an orange plus an apple. Okay, an orange plus an apple, which, just like x plus y, you can't really do. X plus y is just x plus y. You have an orange, you have an apple. 1x, 1y, and so this is already simplified. If you were asked to simplify this expression, this would be your answer. Now, like terms have the same letter, whereas unlike terms have different variables. Like terms have the same variable. And the other thing I want to talk to you about on your parts of an equation, when you have a variable all by itself, this coefficient is considered to be 1. So this is like 1y plus 1y plus 1y. So 1 plus 1 plus 1 gives you 3. That would be like adding these 3 oranges. Okay? So this is the difference between unlike and like terms. Unlike terms have different variables. They cannot be combined. Like terms have the same variable, and they can be combined. These 3 terms can be combined into one expression. Okay. So now let's do some examples. 7x plus 3y plus 5 plus 2y plus 6 plus 3x. So the first thing I like to do with combining like terms is mark my terms that are like terms. So 7x and 3x can be combined to 10x. And then my other terms that are same are 3y and 2y, which can be combined to 5y. And then I can also combine 5 and 6. They're constants, so they are also considered like terms, so they can be combined to make 11. So your simplified answer is 10x plus 5y plus 11, and that's all you can do with this expression because these are now all unlike terms, x, y, and then your constant. All right. Now let's do an example that has some adding and subtracting in it. So I'm going to identify my like terms. So 8x plus 2x gives me 10x. Now I have 5y, and the thing you need to understand is this negative sign, this minus sign, subtraction sign, it is in this, you can treat it like a negative sign too, and it goes with that letter. And the reason you can consider it to be a negative, remember when we're subtracting, you're actually adding the opposite. So that really is a negative 5y. So if you're, and now you look, your signs are the same, so you're going to add negative 5 plus negative 2 gives you a negative 7, so that sign is a subtraction sign here, or you can, again, it is a negative 7, however you want to look at that. The proper way here would be 10x minus 7y. And that is how you combine like terms.